Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Pull Up Trade Podcast, co-hosted by myself, Samson Folk, and of course, co-hosted by the one and only, the namesake, Trevon Heath, the Trey that pulls up. We are coming to you live. Well, not live. It's recorded.
Yeah,
It's the
they know.
Raptors. The Raptors are 16 and 11, now the third seed in the East. They faced the Miami Heat and beat them 106-96 in a game that was a meeting of the two biggest losing streaks in the NBA. The Heat extend theirs. The Raptors, they put the kibosh on it. They are now squarely ranked in the top 10 defensively. They're out of the top 10 offensively, but they just played a top 5 defense and they held their own. For anybody at home who's wondering, was this Heat team, which is a good offense, that was their worst statistical performance of the year against the Raptors, both in the half court and overall. And the half court was by some measure. I think the Raptors had the personnel, particularly being able to bring CMB off the bench to go against the likes of Bam Adebayo. And Ware was not super impactful, and Davion Mitchell wasn't either. He usually is pretty good at greasing the wheels. Norm Powell, not so bad either. Trey, anyway, I've gone long. You're here to talk basketball. How you feeling?
I'm good. I think that was the best win of the season, honestly.
Whoa.
Yeah. Your back is against a wall. You're against a team that needs this win just as badly. They're coming off a long rest. We're coming off a long rest, and they played like they really needed to win that game. It was a very hot, hard fought game. They didn't have RJ. And the beautiful part about this game is like all of their young guys contributed in some way based on their skill set, and they won not by this like outstanding performance from one player. They won as a team, and if they can replicate this across the rest of the season, they're going to be a tough out for anybody who plays
I thought the defense is really what kept them in this. It is
them.
nice though, because the way it's gone is that they've been only able to. We've talked about this funnel
Yeah.
defenses. The defense on the other side has been a little bit more determinative in that sense. But when you look at
Mhm.
Shed takes 9 shots, Sandro takes 9, Grady takes 9, CMB takes 2, but passed out from under the rim for 3-point shots a couple times. Ochai 2 of 4. Like they did a better job of getting the ball to different places. There was more diversity in their offense. That probably has to do with seeing more zone and taking
Yeah.
more jump shots. This was a heavy jump shot game, but it was nice to see that, Sandro gives you 11 points on 9 shots, Grady 10 points on 9 shots, Jamal 8 on 9 shots. Hey, listen, that's nothing to write home about, but the 10 assists that came along with it, that's pretty nice. He did a really great job of helping set the pace for the Raptors, which was absolutely necessary for them. And
Mhm.
I think a triumphant return to 3-point shooting for Brandon Ingram at 5 of 7. I guess we can just start there before we get into clutch time and defense. Brandon Ingram is really shooting the three ball much better over the past however many games. How much of, I guess, a sight for sore eyes is this to you?
It's to see like some of his mid-range shooting go down from being Michael Jordan was obviously extremely tough, and they played through him as if he were Michael Jordan. Um, him being able to, you saw him be a play finisher a lot more, and they played through their guards, especially late, which I know we'll get into. And
Hmm.
he was able to get a lot easier looks. He was able to spot up, and with a team like that is like doesn't have the most shooting talent, his 3-point shooting will likely decide a lot of how their half court offense is going to be. So it was extreme. They don't win the game without a shot making.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. And when they were dead on arrival to start the game,
Mhm.
he's just out there making it happen, hitting shots. And as you said, we're glad to see the ball go elsewhere so that the late game process wasn't as predictable. I'll tell you what, you see it in the top right corner there, presented by Coors Light, the Pull Up Trade podcast. Basketball can be
Mhm.
stressful. The Raptors have played a lot of clutch time basketball this year. Your choice of beer doesn't have to be. Coors Light delivers mountain cold refreshment. This is something I have always liked about it in the commercials. When the mountains turn blue, I said, does it actually? Do they actually turn blue? How often do you find yourself reaching for a Coors Light? For anybody who doesn't know, Trey, huge fan of football and the
Mhm.
Patriots, for a nice little kickback watching the NFL. How does a Coors Light accompany you?
Of course. I feel like beer and football like are intertwined, just like seeing the military fire pilot flying before the game. It's just like foundational, and it feels wrong not to have one.
Exactly. I will add, by the way, everybody, make sure to celebrate responsibly, and you must be of legal drinking age to drink beer, as if that weren't self-evident. You can find Coors Light near you. You can visit CoorsLightShop.ca. So the Raptors, they are now 9-6 in clutch time. That's one of, I think they're fourth in the NBA in clutch time wins. They are a bottom six offense in clutch time. They do, or their field goal percentage is like 35, 36%. When they get to clutch time, how they win is basically on the defensive end. And they just had a great performance against the Miami Heat. What do you think it is that makes the Raptors a team that can kind of lock down and get things in order to defend when things matter most?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of like Scotty Barnes is one of the 5 best defenders in the NBA. And in those late game situations, like teams are running far less actions. So you can be a lot more aggressive on what you do defensively. It's usually one-on-one action. And he then has the ability to roam and then come and clean up plays, which has made things significantly easier for their guards who really struggle stopping the point of attack. He cleaned up multiple Norman Powell drives, multiple Davion Mitchell drives. They were getting to the rim at will a lot of this game, and in the clutch, like he came up with two blocks that sealed the game. And at the beginning of the season, it looked like if he made the second team all defensive, it would be an extreme accomplishment. Now it might seem like it'd be a bit of disappointment. His defense probably got a little worse in the season. He has been outstanding. I think he should be at least in some consideration for Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, we will push that. We'll discuss that. There's lots to. I still have I wrote this piece on how great Scotty's defense has been. I've yet to convert it into a video essay. I haven't chopped up all the clips yet. That'll be coming for the the YouTube channel at some point. By the way, for the YouTube channel, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hype, all that good stuff. To that point, the defense, Scotty Barnes, a stat, he's the league leader in clutch blocks, which, a guy who gets as many blocks as he does, he's the stocks leader in the NBA. It's not a surprise that they play a decent amount of clutch minutes, but it's just the sheer amount of, we've talked about this before, how there's not that many non-centers who contest as often as he does at the bucket. He's not an elite stopper at the bucket. Guys score over him. He's not 7 feet tall, as it turns out, but he does get a lot of blocks. He's able to hunt them, and as you said, it ends up changing the game. And there's a couple that are actually literally game saving, and there's a few that are a little bit more like you walk it out and you're like, that was a big, big play. I think the Lakers, this is an interesting thing about, how stars control. The two best teams at limiting turnovers in the clutch time are the Lakers and the Raptors. The Lakers are 9-0 in clutch games. Is that not absurd?
No.
9-0.
Austin Reeves, man.
Oh.
Special whistle. Special whistle. Oh man.
He does, Austin Reeves has the whistle that people think Shea has. I tell you, the Austin Reeves whistle has bothered me for years and years. But not to get too lost on the Austin Reeves of it. Being able to limit turnovers is a huge part of late game offense. Teams hate turning the ball over. The Raptors turned the ball over a couple times against the Heat. That is much more than they usually do in clutch time. And why? Because the Raptors don't pass very much during clutch time. They try and run actions through Brandon. But against the Heat, we saw an about face. We saw a big change. What was the motivating factor for why you think the Raptors moved away from it? And then what did you like seeing, I guess, in how this game finished offensively?
Yeah, I think playing through their guards, like you saw Jamal got one-on-one action. You saw they played through quickly.
The Iverson cross he hit before before the floater.
Oh man. And IQ got multiple possessions in clutch time as well. I think the really big issue of like their bread and butter has been Brandon coming off of a screen, catching. Hopefully he can probe or he can hit shots. He hasn't been playmaking well through those spots, and teams are forcing him to fight through these screens. So the Raptors are also getting these possessions like accomplished fairly late in the shot clock. But when you're playing through their guards, it allows him to be the play finisher on the other side of the court as one of their guys tries to break down another guy. And in this case, Jamal Shead gets to the paint in the way that I've had never seen him do so, and get a floater. IQ's able to dribble in, and Brandon Ingram hits a three because they create that rotation. It just offers higher level of playmaking, so it gives you multiple options in how you can score in those positions.
It's also a necessity if you have Jakob Poeltl out there. You have to run some guard offense so you can utilize him as a screener.
Yep.
And Poeltl for like the back is going to be a conversation. I fear for 3 more years after this,
Oh,
for
man.
potentially like you and I will be discussing Jakob Poeltl's back from time to time for I don't know how long. And it wasn't his most spry game, but it was better than I think a lot of games he's played this year. I think this was his 20th of the season. And if he's out there, you have to utilize his screening. And while I think the Heat, I think they did a really great job of taking away the rim in this game. They sunk low. The Raptors, this might have been the highest amount of jump shots that the Raptors have taken in a game this season. Maybe not the total possessions because this was a low possession game between the two teams, low scoring.
Mhm.
But I think the percentage, the Raptors spent so much of their time, almost 50% of their shots were from three. A very heavy amount were from the long mid range, not even floaters in the short mid range, right? So the Heat were asking for that. Brandon carried early. The bench, obviously, like Grady shoots 5, Sandro shoots 5, Shed takes 6, Ingram takes 7, Scotty 1 of 4, quickly takes 9. The Heat asked the Raptors to beat them with the jump shot. And while the Raptors are not a sterling jump shot team, it was nice to see that despite not being able to touch the rim hardly at all in this game, except for on
Mhm.
offensive rebounds from Scotty late, that they were able to get a step in, move the ball on, and find open shots for shooters. And we got a little bit better performance from the guys in this game. The 3-point shooting is nothing to write home about, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like devastating as it has
Yeah.
been, I guess, in past games.
Yeah, they've been tremendous, and I think the biggest key is that they work through multiple ways of trying to score tonight. Whereas a lot of it's been dependent upon their starters trying to shot make and trying to hit this upper echelon of like tough shot making. Where I think a week ago the zone would have really threw them off, but they were feeding through the middle. Scotty hit a few shots within the middle as well. IQ was able to get downhill and hit floaters, and like their shot making obviously being good. Like Grady Dick is one of his best shooting games in quite a long time. Um,
It's
uh,
crazy that 10 points on 9 shots is like, oh, we shot the hell out of the
beat
basketball.
the piss out of it. There's a piss there. Oh, shot,
The-
but but like they were able to score in multiple different ways, and then they're also were great on the glass, and that helps also. So I last pod we actually discussed like more guys need a chance. Other guys need to score, and they got that tonight, and it made things a lot easier because there was multiple times where it looked like the Heat were going to pull away at some points, but other guys stepped up. Like CNB, outstanding today in the way that he played, and you saw like why they picked him so high.
this was a great game for him to
Yep.
be able to step in because the way that the Heat like to play offense, they're going to pass the ball. It requires a lot of movement and putting
Hmm.
CMB in there to just gum things up and be a present meat grinder every single possession on the floor. It was a huge positive, and it's like 4 points on 2 shots. Listen, that's 100% shooting. You don't turn your nose up at it,
Yep.
but it was also nice. Like Jacoby Walter plays 12 minutes. He's a +8. He's 0 for 2. It was part of the fact that the Raptors, they're not always a team, and this was part of their defensive turnaround was identifying where they could do it, but they're not
Hmm.
always a team that wants to be pressing high. Against the Heat, they decided to press higher, not like backcourt pressing, but they extended their line of defense, and it actually really moved the Heat farther into the clock. It made them struggle a lot to initiate offense. And like if you look at shot quality across the NBA, the teams that are the best are like Denver, OKC, Lakers, Atlanta, Golden State,
Hmm.
Portland, and some of this is mixing in, like some transition looks. The Raptors are a team, and the Heat, they sit around just below the middle of the pack. And it's because they don't have guards who can just come up and bend and break and do all that kind of stuff. And so the Raptors, being a team that was like, you know what, we can give that extra pressure and make them struggle to initiate through handoffs and all that kind of stuff. It was a great defensive tweak from the Raptors as they've been toggling this back and forth throughout the season. I guess, where are you on their pressure and where it's been throughout this year? And I guess honestly, because we whined about it being too much, how are you on their usage of it currently?
I think I think they've used it correctly. I think they've utilized it based on the talent of like their roster. Like I one of the good things I like when Jacoby's in the lineup is that it offers like this like funky twist into the way that they play. They're allowed to play a lot higher in the defense. They're allowed to play a lot more aggressive and more physical. Like Jacoby didn't have the greatest offensive game, but him being in Norman Powell's face and mucking up the game helped them get in transition, helped them score a lot easier, and it just allows you to change the tempo of the game. So I've liked it as a kind of like a counter punch, but not like your base sort of defense like it was in the beginning of the season. So I think it's been done correctly.
Yeah. It's nice to have the guys who are good at it do it.
Yeah.
And that's coaching at the end of the day, is putting guys in the right positions. Sometimes coaching is putting guys in tough positions and hoping that they develop, but the Raptors are walking less of that line now and more of, the hey, let's win. And that's been evident. I know Grady plays 15 minutes in this game, Jacoby 12. Over the past however many games, Jacoby has been much better than Grady.
Yep.
But they're playing a zone. And Grady, they involved him a lot of their actions towards the top of the zone. They used him to get touches middle and all that kind of stuff. So this was a game where he played more. CMB, I kind of want to take a break and talk about CMB. You had a message personally in our friends group chat that was like the post All-Star game bump is coming, that
Mhm.
glow up. Where, because 4 points, if you and I are looking at, like, let's say the
Mhm.
Memphis Grizzlies or something, and they have a forward that scores 4 points, and we see them talk, the fan base talking crazy, we probably have a giggle to ourselves.
Yeah.
CMB, in a game where he goes 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal and a block, of course. What
Mhm.
makes you think like, oh, he's special? It's coming around. What do you give me the science,
The
please? The
science.
science.
Like his defense is otherworldly for the level of a rookie. They were able to throw him on Bam Adebayo and not send help because of his physicality. He has enough length and he has the foot speed to keep up with a big like Bam. Like Jakob struggled mightily against him. It was a bucket every time, and him throwing him into the game turned the game around and allowed them to play the style that they wanted to. It matched the Heat's sort of pace and the way that they move the ball because of his ability in that sense. I think where you kind of see where some of the things where like a breakout could happen is because the Raptors are playing kind of more egalitarian tonight. He got the ball and created multiple looks within that zone, whether that's him getting the ball in the corner, flipping it to Grady. Grady doesn't hit the shot, but that's a shot that is hardly ever created for a guy like Grady, just based on we did a whole
Mhm.
podcast on this. Um him being another outlet for Brandon, putting the ball down on the floor, trying to score, trying to play make from those perspectives. He for a team like the Raptors that struggle to flip the ball to the other side of the court outside of when Scotty does it, he is the next sort of like line that could do so. And if he's given more opportunity as like this playmaker, as like a hub, similar to the actions that Jakob even gets, I think you're going to see that his finishing going up. And I think the Raptors as a unit on the bench, he'll create easier shots for guys like Grady, like Jamal around him, and that will allow him to play more.
These two teams are very interesting as a matchup, I think. And
Mhm.
especially considering that the East is so in flux. And I understand the Raptors may not end up as the 3 seed at the end of the
Yeah.
year, or the 4 seed or whatever. Because actually right now, this would be the playoff matchup, would be Heat versus Raptors if it ended today. The Raptors at 16 and 11, third seed, the Heat would be number 7. Philly would be number 6, actually.
Ooh.
Regardless, they're potentially in spots where they could play. I do wonder how much, like, RJ and Tyler Hero changed the calculus of all of this. But Hawkes, this is not a fun matchup for him because of the Raptors' size near the wings. I thought Powell was like, he gave a lot this game. His shot making wasn't necessarily like great. The stuff at the rim as the game wore on was tough. But
Yep.
this is, Wiggins didn't play well. This is a funky matchup. Like, these two teams are, neither of them succeed in normal ways, I think, relative to the rest of the league. This would be a really funky matchup. And RJ and Tyler both normalize these teams in different ways, but they also open up, I think, things to attack offensively for both teams, because their presence creates more opportunities offensively for your team and a few more opportunities for the other team's offense. It just speaks to, I think, the NBA has a lot of diversity of attacking now.
Yep.
And this brings up my thing that I want to ask you about and check back in on. So I was digging around because I was like, I've been watching the games this year, and not just the Raptors, but the NBA at large. And I did that video where I was talking about like assists and passing and how it doesn't necessarily, like, the conventional wisdom does not seem correct around it. And so there's one team in the NBA that has a top 10 assist percentage, and that is a top 10 offense. So the Nuggets are 9th in assist percentage, and they're 1st in offensive rating. They have a historic offensive rating. They're not even top 10 in passes, though. And there's only one team that's top 10 in passes. The Wolves are 8th, and they're top 10 in offensive rating. Otherwise, all the teams that are succeeding offensively are operating outside of the, like, pass-heavy ethos. And it really, I can't think of another era that I've watched of basketball where a diverse offensive approach was more important. Like, offenses used to be pretty one note in the NBA as we
100%.
watched it. They were defined by like one metric. This team shoots a lot of threes. This team drives a lot. This team passes a lot. But teams have to be so multivariate in how they succeed. And NBA, like, the defense in the NBA has always, intrigued me a lot because it has to work so hard to catch up. But what do you think about that trend, or I guess these stats?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Just because I think the skill level that like a role player has been required to have now is something we've never seen before. Like a guy like Jacoby's a perfect example. A guy that's super limited in what he can do offensively. Like 5 years ago, you don't even think about, can he drive? Can he put the ball down on the court? As long as he hits threes, he can be a starter on my team for years to come. Danny
5
Green.
seconds for Jay Crowder, man.
But that was super important one time because you had this heliocentric guy that was going to create corner threes, and that guy was going to be able to get 8 threes up. So their usage is defined. It's easier to come by. But now teams are better at taking those away. The skip pass across the court that LeBron like made famous. Teams know how to take that away. Also, there's just not also LeBron, but teams are better at taking that stuff away. So you need to, when the ball is flipped on the other side, you need your role player to be able to extend advantages, sometimes create even second side as well, so that you're forcing the defense to go into multiple rotations now. The only team, like Boston was still built like in that, not in a heliocentric way, but in the singularity of their approach, like heavy drive and kick. But nowadays, you need the absolute perfect roster of doing so. And they were just a team that happened to have that, but the talent level has gotten far too high for you to be like a singular skill type of player and expect to play in the playoffs.
So a guy who is not singular in skill, but was singular in his impact in this past game. A plus 27 in 23 minutes. Jamal Shead. You used to have a lot of fun bringing up, like, that's 4th in the NBA in assists off the bench. I still think he's probably first in assists off the bench in the NBA. After a game like that, a plus 27 in 23 minutes, 8 points, 9 shots, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, and get this, 1 turnover. What do you make of the Raptors' diminutive, but sometimes larger than life backup point guard?
Oh, tremendous. First I'll just start saying, like, whoever thinks they can pick who's going to be able to shoot in the NBA or not, like, is lying to you. This is nobody knows. I swear to God. Because you look at Jamal Shead, you could look at every single 3-point attempt Jamal Shead has taken in Houston, and none of that reads like he's going to shoot it well in the NBA, and he's going to shoot it well from the onset of him joining the league, which is crazy. But he, like, tonight he just showed like why he's so important to the team. Like, they're a team that struggles to dribble the ball. They struggle to get to all the way to the rim, and whether he can score from there or not, his presence and his ability to attack helps open things up for others. Like, Jakob Poeltl's life is a lot easier when Jamal Shead is able to get downhill. It's a lot easier for a lot of guys, and if his 3-point shooting holds up like this, like, he's gonna have a very long NBA career, because it's allowed him to also play off of IQ and be okay as a play finisher, because he's honestly been one of their most reliable shooters on the team. He's which is insane to say, but he's he has right now has, because of his shooting, has the versatility to play both on and off the ball currently, and his driving ability has allowed him to have very easy and deliberate playmaking looks. And if he ever figures out how to score inside in between some of that stuff, like, sky's the limit of what he can do and be like a fixture on this team long term.
It's he is an incredibly important counterpunch. When the Raptors
Yeah.
have it going offensively, he is at his best. He multiplies things at an incredible level because of
Mhm.
his he's a really strong passer. It's just he knows when to get off the ball.
Yeah.
And the other guards on the Raptors team are not as strong at that. In fact, it's like Scotty and Jamal probably. Those are the 2 guys who have a pretty strong sense, elite even, of knowing what they're creating and when to move off. The thing is, both those guys are not super strong in, I guess, like traditional creation. Like, I get the ball, I get a screen.
Mhm.
Now I'm creating these big gobs. It's kind of attacking tilted defenses and reading everything in motion. To the 3-point percentage thing, you know, Derek White spends 5 years in San Antonio, like 240 games, takes 873s. He's a 34% shooter, and the difficulty is not that high on these. He goes to Boston in the exact same amount of time, basically. He's got nearly 2,000 threes up, more than twice as
Yeah,
much,
Jedi.
and he's almost at 38%. And it was a little bit of a mechanics change. He's actually similar to Shed in that they both low set point and push from like the chin. And listen, it doesn't have to be pretty. If you're a guy that teams are going to leave open and you need to change the calculus of how many points per possession come when you take a shot, listen, your mechanics don't have to be pretty. They have to be simple so you can get the ball from your
Mhm.
hand, your palm to the rim. And Shed has clearly improved at that aspect of it. Pull up shooting and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how it's going to develop. When at Summer League, the one-on-one I did with him, we talked about how he's going to attack unders and what it requires of him. But I just it's been fun to watch him as a
Yeah.
guy who works off of whatever the team is doing. He doesn't solve the team, but he makes
Yeah.
them better. And actually, in a game like tonight where he's plus 27 in 23 minutes, you could say that he helped solve some things by injecting pace and helping them move the ball on. And he was, imperative to solving what the Heat were throwing defensively. I The Raptors, they got a lot from their guys in this game, and they've been waiting for this. Now, the offensive stuff, I don't know if it's truly something they can bank on. As we mentioned at the top,
Mhm.
this was a game where it was a lot of jump shots. You don't
Yeah.
want to For a team that is not that rich in jump shooting talent, you don't want to have to rely on jump shots that much. But we also got news. RJ is ramping up to return to basketball activity. There's so many terms for what a player is doing.
Mhm.
return to basketball activity, contact, you've got PRP injections, you've got all this kind of stuff. There only a man like Nabil could navigate these murky waters with Alex McKechnie. But the good news is RJ comes back. I wanted to talk to you about something funny. Are you at all nervous that RJ comes back and the offense isn't awesome right away and the
Oh.
pitchforks come out for us?
Oh, that's a bad day for us. Oh my goodness. But you even saw in spurts in this game, like he was needed. Like the Heat is a higher level of like defensive ability than you're naturally going to see. They have
Top
guys like
5.
Davion, yeah, Wiggins, Bam, who are all great at the point of attack, honestly, and Ware could clean up stuff also. But the the Raptors won this game because they hit 40% of their threes, and to assume like that's going to happen again with a team, like when you look at their roster, those games are far and in between. Like the Heat still played very good defense, and they had trouble getting to the rim. And in order, if you want Grady to have games like this, guys like Jamal to have easier games like Jacoby has had, you need guys that force rotations. And RJ happens to be the guy that doesn't. And I don't think anything that we've said has been like this like big like proclamation of like RJ Barrett's this outstanding player. It's more just so a reality of where their roster is and the lack of talent they have and that certain skill set that obviously needs to be addressed long term. But right now they need RJ to take those minutes, take that usage, so things are easier across the board.
I don't think we ever oversold it, but
Yeah.
it would be funny because,
Yeah.
part of what makes this podcast fun is like we're accused of Grady derangement syndrome, which is obviously a play on when Trump says someone has Trump derangement syndrome, like you're considering me far too much. But because you always get outflanked, right? Like there are
Yeah.
people who this is definitely a pro Grady podcast, but
100%.
we are getting outflanked by people who are more pro Grady for not being pro Grady enough. RJ is definitely a pro RJ podcast. We still get
100%.
outflanked. You're always getting outflanked in these situations, but I do because you and I noticed it. The comment section becomes a war zone when when the team is
Oh my
losing.
god. Nobody's having fun. You even see it with like amongst our friends. Everyone's a bit more chippy.
Mhm.
People are in more of a bad mood watching the games. Like this losing streak was bad on us. Honestly. Horrible.
Once you get used to winning, it's hard to go back to any other way, man. It's difficult to unring that bell. And the Raptors at 16-11, I suspect this game will return them to cleaning the glass, 50 projected wins. Thank you. We believe in you. The Raptors, they're still statistically a strong team. Not a world beater that they once
Yeah.
were when things came back down to earth. It did coincide with RJ's injury, but hey,
Who
I'm
knows?
I'm looking forward to RJ coming back so that we can stop discussing hypotheticals and just watch
Yes.
the man play and watch the Raptors play. In this back end of December, early January stuff, it should be pretty intriguing basketball because
Mhm.
the Raptors, like, let's here, I'll go to their schedule. We have some very important games coming up. We have the Bucks, we have the Celtics, the Nets, but then you go back to
Yeah.
the Heat.
Mhm.
Then we get some Warriors. I'm really interested because another team that's going to force the Raptors to probably take some jump shots, the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, that's a big matchup.
And then right before the new year or the year strikes new, the Denver Nuggets. And that's always like you play one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
It's a great proving ground. I just I hope that I suspect that maybe RJ is back for that next Heat game. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I hope everyone else stays healthy for the Raptors and we get a look at this team healthy once again because as everyone is pointing out, like healthy is not normal in the NBA anymore. It's so much different than when we were kids. When we were kids, if there was a 20 point per game scorer missing from a game, it was like, wow, these
Was
teams couldn't be more different right now. But now it's like, yeah, everybody's missing a 20-point per game score. Just go play.
Yeah. Yeah, 20 points per game is like the new like 15. Like, oh yeah, he can do something with the ball.
Colin Sexton scores 24. The cat's out the bag, man. And we like Colin Sexton. I
Yeah,
like
of
that
course.
guy. But
Beat us.
he scores 24. The cat is out the bag.
Yeah, it isn't. I think growing up, that was like the measuring stick of like, this guy's an all-star, this guy isn't an all-star. And like, if Scotty averaged 23 a game and was like 50% of the defensive player that he was, like the Raptors are worse because of that. Like, I think the way fans and media like interpret what quantifies as a good player is like significantly changed now. Like, I don't think you could look up Scotty's box score and say like, yeah, this is the guy that the team is like building their franchise around. Like, you have to physically see what he does on the court.
17, 10, and 6 is like, that's a fun little player.
Yeah,
Boris Diaw did this when he got 34 minutes because Tim was resting on the second night of a back-to-back. The 2 steals and 3 blocks. I don't know if Boris is going to muster that up. But it's an extremely salient point you make, is that 23 points per game instead of what Scotty giving you 19 and a half, 20, and you get a huge drop off defensively, the team is much worse because, as we discussed, it's that depth of talent offensively of what guys have to do. Suddenly, everyone has to go and track back defensively. Like, the reads that have to be made defensively are far more complex now than what they used to be. Like, teams for a full season were just like, no, we ice. Are you for real, dude? The whole year, you ice.
Yeah.
Every guard who comes up the court, you ice. Wow.
It's crazy. But like, you look at like what 2009, 2010, like Tom Thibodeau is breaking defenses. No one knows how to attack this ice defense. Joakim Noah's he's standing right there. But like, now Jamal Shead might be able to get downhill on him and attack, or a role player's hitting a step back 3 in front of Joakim Noah's face. You have guys from like 5th through 9th in the roster that, like, if you're gonna drop down and give me space, I'm gonna score on you. It just like what's needed from a player defensively has like significantly changed.
Game 7, LeBron James against the Spurs. They are running some hedge and recover near the free throw line, and he hits an 18, 19-foot jumper. And I know you remember that moment. Everyone's like, whoa, they couldn't account for this. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness. You just hear Mark Jansen. He's answered the call. he's you give me that space, I gotta shoot it. I was like, oh my God.
That's so funny, dude. and then just think about like LeBron in 2017-18.
Yeah.
Crazy. And it's not, and like, I don't know how to measure out. I know LeBron said 2017-18 was probably his best year. Again, you have to go back to that. What are you giving defensively and offensively calculus? But the league developed as LeBron did. And it was just kind of like LeBron through his 30s was adding all this stuff. And you see role players in the NBA adding all this stuff. And it's just like, suddenly there's a bunch of guys doing a bunch of stuff. Malik Monk, Jamal Crawford, if he came up in today's game, they're like, cut that shit out, man. Do something with the ball, please. You're shooting 39% from the field and like 36% from 3. That's not good enough. And you're not good defensively. All your skills, they're like, we got Brandon Williams who does that. We just drafted a 5'11" guard, Ryan Nembhard, who does that plus more,
It's crazy. Lou Williams had like one of the greatest years of his life as a Raptor. Not being the most efficient, cheating his way and being a grifter, getting to the line. Drake made a whole song about him being a 6 man. If in 2025, like, this guy fucking sucks. Get him off the courts. What do you mean he can't do anything but get to the
He couldn't shoot going right. He couldn't shoot going right.
Jesus Christ. It's just like the plane that has been hit is like completely different. This is why like when people discuss like look at the 90s, look at the 2000s, like the jump even within the last 5 years. Look at Norman Powell. Look at what Norman Powell is now compared to when he was on a championship team 5 years ago.
I
It
think,
just is
yeah, go ahead.
absurd. No,
Yeah.
it's just like absurd. Like if you told me 5 years ago Norman Powell's going to average 24 on a team that's what the 7th seed right now, I'd be like, you're crazy. The world does not exist. But like the stuff that he can do at the rim, the stuff that he can do in terms of his shot making off movement, it's just like the requirements of what has been needed for a guy of his position. He's evolved into it.
Yeah. The big thing is you watch like older basketball, 90s, 80s, whatever. What's clear is that the stars of that age would be stars today too.
Yeah.
Like you watch Michael Jordan. Yep. You're like,
Mhm.
oh Jesus Lord, this guy, wow. He's
Yeah.
unbelievable. You watch any star, you're like, oh yeah, they'd fit in, they'd make it work. But there is like when I watch it, I see more limited role players athletically and skills wise. And I wonder, like, yes, Michael Jordan and all these guys would be stars, 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 stars. I just wonder how they would adapt and what that would look like. I so wish we got to see that. It would be so cool if we could just
Mhm.
zap it back in time. Do you remember it was like the Rocky maybe it was like Rocky 5 or 6, but they're like, "We created this this thing where we
Yeah.
put Rocky versus the new guy, and Rocky actually won." And then Rocky was like 54 and was like, "I'm gonna box him now." I wish we could do that.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about baseball. It's like you could like make the like no one really argues like Shohei Ohtani's like the best
Yeah,
player we've ever seen just because the game is like more simple. The numbers are easy to track from era to era. Like
yeah.
any Christmas dinner you can ruin arguing LeBron and Michael Jordan. It doesn't matter who's in the room. You're going to be split like generationally regardless.
It's Shohei is throwing 101, and he's throwing 93-mile-per-hour slider off that, and he's hitting 55 home runs. Oh,
Absurd.
damn. Yeah, me too, man. Anyway,
And we lost. Damn.
Blue Jays, I think, are gonna be good, man.
Yeah.
They're spending money.
Mhm.
Anyway, the Raptors are winning. Is there
Yes.
anything you wanna say before we get out of here?
Um, we have another pod on Wednesday. I'll say happy holidays then and Merry Christmas to everybody. But
Yeah.
um, like we said, believe in this team that they're going to go on another losing streak, and we're just gonna have to accept it.
Actually, this saved you because you were like, 4 games is not a huge
Yeah, I
deal,
was
and
like
I was like,
5.
"What about 5?" And you, ee.
Zach, believe in this team. They've showed you that we've played nearly 30 games now. It's okay to just have some confirmation that at the bare minimum, this is a above average team. They've shown this for nearly half of the season. I think just being okay with the ebbs and flows of an NBA season is totally fine. And don't get too high when they win 10 games, and don't get too low when they lose 4 games, and things will be all right.
Toronto always needs a charismatic black man to tell them to believe in their city and believe in themselves, and you've taken up the mantle, I see. Where would we be without this confidence?
Oh,
Um, Listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. As Trey said, we'll be back on Wednesday, which means there's not going to be another game in between now. So we got to pick, you and I will pick a deep dive topic of some
yeah.
sort, and we'll get into it. Thank you to everybody for listening. I look forward to Thursday's deep dive. And thanks for tuning in. Whether you got into this in the morning or at night, from myself and Trevon, have a blessed day and goodbye.